Yo, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, Action Creature. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Hiya Toys Skull Crawler, or Skull Devil, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. I'm just really excited that this figure is finally here. And I'm excited because, this is a figure I thought we would probably never get. At least a licensed one anyway. I'm sure people have made third party ones and stuff like that, but getting an actual licensed skull crawler is just amazing in my opinion. And I am just so happy to have this figure because I never really thought like anyone was gonna make one. And when the movie came out, Monster Arts opted to not make any of the figures, so we have just been stuck waiting for so long, hoping that someone makes a Skull Crawler and Skull Island King Kong, and those are finally on the way to us. There's just so many monsters in the Monsterverse that are pretty cool looking that never get figures. It's pretty unfortunate, but hopefully Hiya Toys is here to change that. And they are starting it off right with this figure right here. So enough about all that. Let's just go ahead and look at the figure itself. And we will start with the details. Yum, 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 yum. All right, so getting nice and close with the head up here. And I just love the look of the Skull Crawler overall. And Hiya Toys captured it really nicely. There's a nice bone white dry brushing over the skull here. The spines are all nicely painted. The neck and body itself are really nicely textured. And one thing I've always thought was cool about the Skullcrawler is he's kind of like an orca, well, like an inverted orca, because you think this is his eye when you're watching the movie, right? But his eye is actually right here. And the orca kind of has a similar thing. He's all black and has a white spot. So you think the eye's right there, but it's actually behind that spot. So I just thought it's pretty cool. It's like kind of similar to an orca. I mean, obviously this looks so much different than an orca, but has a similar vibe going on there with the skull. One thing I think is cool too is he kind of has like sideways snake eyes, as you can see. And they're pretty cool. It's just, he's just a kick-ass looking monster. Opening the mouth here, you can see the paint, or the mouth is all nicely painted and detailed. It's a nice light pink with a darker pink wash over everything. The teeth are painted nicely. They're kind of clumped together, so that could be a little bit better, but it's not too bad, especially when you're looking at it in person. You really can't tell. Like if I scoot it back, the teeth look fine there. But yeah, look at the tongue, just so much texture. Looking at the top of the mouth, I actually watched Shin Rob Jiro's review, and he pointed out that the teeth are gold, and that is indeed true. The teeth are gold. The skull crawler has a grill over here. I'm not sure why the teeth are gold. I'm pretty sure they weren't like that in the movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I just think that's kind of an odd choice from Hiya Toys, but hey, you know what? When you have the figure normally posed just sitting there, you can't even see the teeth up at all, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, just looking at the shoulders here, they're nicely shaded. Like you can see the crevices are a darker color, while the higher points of the sculpt are a lighter color. And I just really love that. It's nice to have paint on these figures. They just, they look great. The spine is nicely detailed, as you can see. The ridges are all highlighted. Obviously, the top part of the spine is highlighted too, and it looks really good. One complaint, though, I've heard from a lot of people is that the spine is not the right color. It needs to be more like the skull. And that is true. It should be a lighter color, but honestly, I'm not really bothered by that. It looks fine to me, so I don't mind. And I'm sure Hiya Toys will probably do some repaint to this. You know, maybe we'll get the one from Godzilla vs. Kong, that Mecha Godzilla just absolutely devastated and cut in half. Poor Skull Crawler. But yeah, for now, this looks really good. Looking at the underside, you can see there's like a nice light green, and the texture is a little bit softer here. You know, it looks more, I guess, flappy, kind of like for the neck part. And then you got the chest that's nicely detailed, almost looks like a xenomorph chest a little bit. Bottom of the hands are detailed too. The tail, all, you know, bottom of the tail all detailed out. The spike is nicely painted, a lot of ridges on the forearms here. And one thing I really want to point out though is that the joints actually have texture on them too. So that's a really nice detail that they didn't have to add, but they went above and beyond and added that, and I just think that looks great, especially when you bend the arm. It kind of becomes seamless almost. Not really seamless, but you know, the texture continues. So it helps keep that illusion that there's not a joint there, but you know, we all know there is one. Same thing with the ball hinge here. It's got nice texture on it. It's painted too, so that's something you really don't see from a lot of toy companies. None of them are really texturing the joints and painting them. They're usually like a you know, like if you think of Figma or Revoltech, they're just a solid ball that doesn't really match the rest of the figure. But Hiya Toys really went above and beyond and made sure that joint flowed with the rest of the figure, and I appreciate that. Looking at the tip of the tail here, I always loved how the Skull Crawler's tail looked. It's I love how it's spiky. I wonder if, like, you know, in the movies, if these are hard and his tail is almost like a saw and would cut if he hit another kaiju with it. But yeah, cool tail. I like how it looks. But yeah, overall, the figure looks great. And I really can't complain about the looks, you know. It's awesome we even have this figure. And it's, you know, it's sculpted amazing, painted really nicely. So yeah, just nothing to complain about in the looks department. I guess one thing is the paint right here on the back of the neck doesn't really match right here. Kind of looks a bit weird. Like, is this supposed to be part of the skull? I would assume so. It just looks kind of weird, but besides that, it's great looking. But yeah, so that's the detail. So let's go ahead and get into the articulation. So we're going to start it off with the head here. Obviously, the mouth opens, but once you move the bottom jaw, the top jaw also opens. So it kind of has like a chomping action. So it's like this. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Yeah, so you can open it a little bit if you want, or you can go all the way, or, you know, midway, and it works really nicely there. If you can see, the membrane in the mouth is actually a rubber piece, and you know, I think that's pretty cool. Like I was saying, I watched Rob Giro's review, and on his copy, his membrane was unfortunately ripped, like at the little corners right there. Luckily, mine isn't like that. So if that happens to you guys, I'm sorry, but he said he watched other reviews, and it seems like his was the only one, so maybe he just got a defective one. But yeah, the jaw works nicely for me. I'm not having any issues. So for the neck, when you're articulating it, you're just going to want to grab it from right here, because the head is like kind of on a hinge. It feels awkward if you're grabbing it like this, almost like you might break the head off. So I would just grab it from right here. Obviously, the neck joint right here will turn. It will look up a good bit right there, and it really only straightens out, doesn't really go down. This joint right here is where you're going to get all your movement. So this one will go up a good amount, and moving both joints, it will look up that much. And then it will go down that much. So it's a decent amount. Obviously the head isn't looking straight down, but if you're posing it, you can get the feet flat and just move the arms forward like that, and then it could be looking down. Side to side though is really good too. So moving it to the right, you just want to move this one first, and then you'll move this one, and it's got some pretty decent range there. So that's really nice. I'm happy with that. That's really good range. So yeah, that turned out really nice. I like the neck. I feel like the standout of this figure though are the arms. The arms are really nice. So they will go straight out like this. Like they'll go up so much right there. They will go all the way in as well. And you can almost like get a clapping pose out of the skull crawler, like the hands will come together. So that's really cool right there. And then obviously they'll come forward too, and they'll rotate all the way around and stuff. Like they're really great shoulders. Like any pose you want, you can get out of them. But yeah, there's also a bicep swivel here that's actually pretty seamless. So arm will go, you know, obviously all the way out and in. So that's really nice. The elbow here, this is my only little nitpick. I wish they would have just connected the spike to the forearm. It would have improved the sculpt and not break it up so much. But like I said, this is just a nitpick. This elbow just kind of reminds me of McFarlane. And I wish that they just connected it right there so there wasn't this gap, but it's just a little nitpick. It's not the end of the world. I think it looks fine. It's just, if I was doing this figure, I would just connect that and have the elbow joint just kind of move through the spike right there. But like I said, little nitpick, not the end of the world. Now these ball hinges right here for the ankles or wrist is really well implemented, and I will tell you why. So check this out. Go straight down and really far up. So right there, that's just great motion. But now when you have an ankle joint, it's always good to have the peg that goes into the foot be straight. So when you articulate the foot, it rotates perfectly when that peg is straight. If it goes down into the foot, like let's say the peg was going straight down, then you couldn't actually rotate this foot at all if it was straight down. And a lot of companies don't realize that. I feel like you get a lot of figures that have pegs that are just poorly implemented, and they just sometimes have no idea what they're doing. But this is good to see here. So the peg goes straight into the foot, allowing for some really great ankle pivot. You see that? That's awesome. So you could really pose this however you want. Like if you wanted to get his arms all the way flat and have him like, you know, laying completely flat on the ground, you could do that. So, you know, it is just a skull crawler. They didn't have to go so hard, but they did. And it's easy enough to do too. So I'm glad that they did that. And this is how all ankles should be done. Perfect. No problems there. For the back half of the torso here, it will move up about that much, but the real range is moving it down. It moves down really well. And then side to side is also really good too. So you get like a really nice curve right there. So if you turn the head all the way, you can really get them like wrapping around almost. And then going to the other side too, obviously, Looks really nice. And yeah, so up and down. I already showed you all that. Yeah, so now for the wire tail. Well, let me just say, this is nicely implemented. It's like a, a Godzilla tail, so they did a good job on that. I'm happy with this. It's more than enough range. So for the wire tail though, when you're moving this around, you'll want to grab it with two hands and just kind of slowly start articulating it. I can feel the wire kind of spinning around in there. That's not the end of the world, but like you can see I'm kind of rotating it and the tail's moving. You just want to, get a nice good grip on it so you're not ripping it or anything, and slowly put it into the pose that you want. It's very bendable, but it is kind of hard to bend. So that's what I'm saying. Just take your time with it. When this figure first dropped, some people were, well, not some people, someone made a post on Twitter saying how their tail was ripped, but I haven't had any problems, and I've been moving this thing around and hasn't ripped at all. So I think as long as you're gentle with it, it should be fine. But yeah, as you can see, I just straightened it out completely. You can obviously curve it up, curve it down, left and right, It's a bendy tail. I just don't want to move it a lot because it is so stiff, so don't want to rip it. If that is in my future, I'd rather just postpone it. So yeah, but you could bend the tail however you want. So overall, for articulation, this guy moves really well. And you would think a skull crawler would, because the design just really lends itself to articulation. So I'm glad that Hiya Toys capitalized on that and didn't leave anything to be desired. I would say the only improvements could be having the neck look down a little bit better right here and attaching this elbow to the forearm. But besides that, everything turned out great, I think. So awesome sculpt, awesome paint, awesome articulation. You really can't go wrong. And it's only $50. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the size comparisons. So up first, we have the GVK Hiya Toys Godzilla. This is the version 2 one with the new head and neck. And I will say this figure is pretty awesome. And I'm actually going to be releasing a video soon about how to mod this figure to get better articulation. So that'll be a fun video. But anyways, here's the size comparison. And these two look really good together, I think. I would love to see Godzilla fight a skull crawler. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, these two look good together. So I like the scaling. And yeah, up next here, since I don't have my Hiya King Kong out, it's packed away right now, I will compare it to this Bandai King Kong. And these actually look pretty good together too. I could see this fight. It would be awesome if they brought back the 1962 King Kong and brought him into the Monsterverse, kind of like a Spider-Verse moment, or just have him chilling in the Hollow Earth. Like, wouldn't that be so cool? But I'm sure that would never happen. I would just love to see it, because King Kong versus Godzilla 1962 is probably my favorite Godzilla movie, next to 54 and 84, and 64 too. But this is not a top 10 list or anything. This is comparison time right now, but yeah, these look really good together. So there is that. And up next here, we got Godzilla -1. And these look really good together too. So there's that size comparison. And I feel like this Godzilla would just stomp a skull crawler's head in. Like, this Godzilla is mean. But all right, and for our last comparison here, we have Ultraman. And if you guys haven't checked out the old Ultraman or Ultra Q, I highly recommend it. Like, if you just love seeing kaiju fights and old suits, you know, no CGI, it's a great show if you've been through all the Godzilla movies and you want something else to watch. Ultraman is really cool, and I think you guys should give it a chance because there's only so much kaiju content, and Ultraman is one of the big ones. So definitely give him a chance. But yeah, here's Ultraman. Let's have Ultraman ride the Skull Crawler as we close out the video here. So yeah, anyways, y'all, that is it for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Look forward to my how to mod your Hiya Toys Godzilla video. That'll be a good one. I'm also thinking about doing another news video because there's been a lot of new stuff lately, and I think it's about time to do another one because we've kind of been in a drought, but we're slowly getting some new news. So that'll be fun to do too. But yeah, so that is it for this one. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye bye, guys.